Greetings, fellow Siegers. Hero Siege Season 7 is officially set to launch on June 6th, bringing with it a wave of exciting new content. A brand new seasonal feature, powerful in-game bosses, an all-new class, reworked and newly added items, expanded blood pack support, hundreds of balance changes across all classes, and massive performance, anti-cheat, and server stability upgrades. And that's just the beginning. Be sure you mark your calendars, this season is shaping up to be a fun one. In today's video, I'll be walking you through a complete build guide. We'll cover everything that you need to know from pros and cons, leveling strategies, skill and sub-skill tree progression, attribute allocation, gearing recommendations for budget, mid-game, and end-game setups. I'll also break down optimal mercenary pairings, loot filter tips, and some helpful resources I've created to support you guys on your journey through the season. A full written version of this guide will be available on my website shortly after the video goes live, and as always, timestamps will be available for your convenience. If you're new here, I'm Graxy. I create ARPG-focused content with a strong emphasis on Hero Siege. My channel features build guides, game mechanic breakdowns, how-to tutorials, and content for both new and experienced players. If you enjoy this kind of content, consider subscribing to stay up to date with the latest Hero Siege news and guides. Your support, whether through a like, comment, or small donation, help keeps the channel going strong. Let's dive into it. This guide was created during the closed beta phase of Season 7 and is based on the content and mechanics available at that time. Please note that certain features, balance changes, or other game elements may be updated or modified as the game progresses towards its official release. The information presented here may not fully reflect the final version of the game, and some aspects could be subject to change. While I strive to provide accurate and effective build recommendations, future adjustments by the developers may impact the viability of certain strategies. Always refer to the official patch notes for the latest insights and information. Alrighty, let's get into this pickup raid, Redneck. This thing is hilarious, man. You will summon a bunch of armored pickup trucks that will have gun-toting rednecks in it that are shooting projectiles everywhere at enemies. Super hilarious. One of my favorite skills in the game. Let's check out some pros and cons of the build here. First, you do have screen wide AoE, right? You get these screen wide AoEs going with all the projectiles and trucks. You have solid single target due to the there's an augment that makes your trucks all shoot a bunch of tires, and the tires will shotgun. Very, very nice. You have built-in defense, life percentage, and movement speed. And it's really simple to play. You just put your trucks out and your trucks will tog along and they kill things and you stand behind them, and that's pretty much how you play the build, right? Now, you don't have a built-in movement ability, so you will have to find a source of teleport for the character. It does ramp up slower than some of the other builds. It is also a cooldown based build, and the cooldown did get a slight nerf this season. It was kind of crazy last season with the amount of trucks that you could spawn. And then your level 1 through level 29 is a little bit slow. You don't get pickup raid until you hit level 30, but once you hit pickup raid, you honestly just fly. And now that your augments are level 40, you're gonna fly even faster on this than you did before. So let's talk about the skill trees and how we level the character. It's pretty simple. There's a couple of different options you have. You can go the right tree. This is gonna be your physical side with Chainsaw Massacre, and I don't remember the name of this one. But either way, you can use the Fizz side if you would like to. I prefer going the left tree. This will give us our Molotovs, our pipe bombs. Either one of those are great. I like to go and dump all my points into the Molotovs. These are going to put a burning on the ground below you. It's really nice for being able to pick out your elites and just get XP off of elites while you're going through. Completely up to you if you would like to go the Fizz side, though. This can be a decent option as well. At level 8, we just continue blasting into our Molotovs. We can balance our points between these two here as this is a synergy, giving us a little bit of extra juice without increasing the mana cost. Level 16, same thing. We're just speccing out as many points as we can into our Molotov while getting points in synergies so that we can, get damage here without getting its mana cost too high. You will want to put some points in energy, get some mana sustained. It will help a whole lot. This skill will shred single targets, and it's not the best AoE, but as you get through, it'll get a little bit better. And then finally, at level 30, we can swap to our pickup raid. And here's what that tree is going to look like. We're going to dump all of our points into pickup raid. And then we just get 1 point all the way down this left line. We also get some movement speed on this bottle right here. And then we get some fire skill damage on an active. Level 40, same thing. We're just continuing to put points into synergies. Right, so you can see I have some additional points here. I also did put 1 point into each of these passives here. These will give us defense and life percentage, which is very, very nice. At level 70, same thing. We're continuing to dump points into synergy. So you can see this has been maxed out now, and we start putting points into pipe bomb. Right, we get that maxed out in tire fire. This is another synergy. And then finally, at level 100, here's what our final tree will look like. Now, this is also going to assume that you are using the Saint Auto gloves. This is an end game item. Do not put a point right here if you don't have Saint Autos. This is crit damage. This works with autos. Without it, this does literally nothing. Save your point, put it somewhere else, right? Otherwise, you're just going to have your pickup raid maxed out. You'll have, I think this is spontaneous combustion. You'll have pipe bomb. You'll have tire fire. You'll have, I'm not sure which one this is to be off the top of my head, but you'll get the rest of your points in here just to give your pickup raid as much damage as you can. Now, sub skill trees, if you're not familiar with them, those were added in season 5. These make it so that you can spec your skills out a little bit more. You'll see on each skill, you have a plus sign. You click that and this little tree opens up. You can put a bunch of nodes in, gives you 1 point for every 5 character levels to get some additional juice on the skill. For pickup raid, here's what we're going to be logging into. This top left one right here, this is going to give us all of your additional trucks. And make sure that you are rushing that for whatever you hit level 40. You're not going to be able to go this direction and get it at level 40. You will have to go this direction to get it. It is worth going this direction to get 1 point here for the augment. And then as you get some more levels, you'll switch and then go this direction to get the augment and get the extra juice on here. This here is going to give us additional projectiles. We get this one right here is very important. This gives us all of our cooldown recovery. So be sure that we are maxing those out. And then we do have a second tree, right? This one is for single target. So maybe you want to set this up on your second skill loadout. This will make it so that you only have 1 truck, but that 1 truck is going to blow up. It'll have a bunch of tires that come out here. Make sure that you get the inflicts burning on the airplanes. This is very important just overall for your damage. Now, attribute allocation, quite simple. We are going to be putting 2 points intelligence, 2 points vitality, the rest into energy, or excuse me, the rest we will try to get some energy to feel comfortable, right? And we're really just at this point trying to find some sustain for our mana. Once we have that mana sustain, any points that you have in energy, you could probably pop those out, get them into either intelligence or vitality for a bit more survivability or damage, whatever you'd like to do there. Now in the end game, we are going to be going pure intelligence. Get them all in there. You need to get as much damage from the skill. Luckily, this skill is fairly safe because you put the trucks down. You kind of stand behind them and they just go and go and go. And they shoot projectiles everywhere. So it's really nice. You're probably not going to need as much vitality, mainly as well as you have the passive that gives you life percent, which will give you, this character is going to get 10,000 life in the end game plus for practically free, right? So you're most likely not going to need anything in here. For gearing, we have some different sections. We have leveling 1 through 100. We have budget, mid-game, and end-game setups with information on everything that you will need to know in order to level. I do want to kind of touch on a few things here just so you have an idea of what's going on and how to use these. So for level 100, there's not any specific satanics that I'm going to be recommending here. If you drop some satanics that make sense for your build, by all means use them, but I cannot guarantee you're going to drop any, nor am I going to tell you to stop farming to go try to get a specific satanic. That is a waste of your damn time. This character level is way too easy for you to be doing that, right? Now, there are some rumors that you might want to get into. It's really just going to come down to you getting the bases for them. You can vendor shop if you'd like to. Most likely you'll just drop these bases naturally. I don't really recommend the vendor shopping. It can take some time out of your run. If you're trying to, kind of speed up and go a little bit faster, this is kind of a big time waster. Completely up to you. But that is an option. So you can see for weapons, mainly on items, what we are looking for while we're leveling on your normal through mythic items is things like fire skill damage, fire skills, all skills, magic skill damage, movement speed, some cooldown recovery, life and mana on kill, cast rate, energy, intelligence. All of these things are very nice to get on your items. You don't need all of these things, but even just one line of flat fire skill damage can go a very long way. One line of like +1, +2 on an item can go a long way, right? So that's generally what you're trying to get through your leveling until you can move into rune words and then eventually into your budget satanics, right? That's really the goal of leveling. It's how you level in Hero Siege. Now, there are some rune words. I do have those all available and listed in if you scroll down on all of the tabs on the written guide that's available on the website, you'll see that there are some rune words that we can pick up. Things like Sky Song, Scholar. The Moltening chest is very, very strong for the fire pickup raid.
And then we also have things like quick steps giving us a ton of movement speed, ghosts giving us a ton of movement speed with damage reduction and phasing. Those are the main ones that you'll probably be able to get into while you're leveling. Otherwise, once again, you are just going to be looking for mainly these affixes on normal through mythic items. Okay. Now, once you do hit level 100, not really the best in slot gear here. There's a ton of options that you can go. There's a lot of satanics, like A and S tier satanics, that you can swap in and out and go all over the place with. I'm going to give you some recommendations here, as well as we do have some examples showing you what some different gear setups would look like and what the damage we're getting with those. So you're more than welcome to check that out in the written guide. But for weapons, we do have Divinity Skysong. Pretty much the best options here. You could get Disaster if you happen to find all the runes. Disaster needs a lot of runes. You need Jaw, Sir, Zed, and even I guess this isn't that bad. But all of these is a lot of runes to get even in the early game. You can buy them from the auction house if you are on trade. They won't be too expensive early on. Jaw is kind of used in Enigma. A lot of people are going to win Enigma, so getting 2 Jaw is kind of crazy. But you can farm Rink Embrace Shrines to try to drop the runes. Ultimately, this is a very, very good item. You will want to get this for the build. If you can get this early in the game through trading or whatever, fantastic. If not, don't worry about it. Divinity is still very strong, and Skysong can hold you over until that point. Okay. For offhands, once again, Skysong giving you skills, giving you some faster cast rate, that sort of thing. Other than that, you have Divine Contemplation. This can be really good for rounding out your resistances. You also have Iron Giant Shield, Swomies, Flame Diviner's Ward. Any of these options can be fine as well. Helmets, you have Scholar, Crown of the Midnight, Creative Secrets. Burning Gaze is my recommendation here. Look at this thing. You get up to 4 skills, 20% fire skill damage, and up to 35% pen. That is crazy. That is as much as an SS tier charm that we are going to be having in the mid game. That's crazy. This thing is insane. Get one of these. Okay. If you can find Crown of the Midnight, Curated Secrets, those could be good as well. Delirium goes up to +8 skills. You might be able to find a skills base to get a little bit more on there. So that could be a fantastic option as well early on. For chest pieces, we do have a ton of options in this. Moltening is what I kind of recommend for your early hell push. You get a lot of juice on it, but there's crazy chest armors in here. You have like Heaven's Might with up to 4 skills, a bunch of damage reduction, life, and you get 6 sockets for more juice. That can be really good. Gladstone Goose giving up to 52% all resistance. You also get a bunch of damage reduction. Good option. So any of these can be really good to help you get through that early game. Gloves, I recommend that you go Wisdom Holds. I really like the faster cast rate. I know technically we have a CDR skill, so it's not that big of a deal, but it does allow you to cast things faster in general. So especially if you were able to maybe get an early Enigma or just some sort of teleport, this will really help. Otherwise, if you just want the most amount of skills for damage, you would go Mevius's. These can roll fire skills. You also get life and mana and some reduced damage taken. It's really nice. Boots, Ghosts. Yep, up to 2 skills. You get movement phasing, can be really nice. You get damage reduction, just really good all around. There's also Ether Walks, right? You'll have to roll these. Unfortunately, you'll need a Sir every time you roll these, but you could roll just a +2, and you also get pen, magic skill damage on these. These are really nice as well. But most likely, you can probably just stick on Ghost for a little while. For belts, Sash of the Magi, Commander Sash, Knight's Girdle, Viper Magi's. There's like a B or C tier belt. It's called Solar Magisters. I'll have that in here somewhere. That one's okay if you can find that, or if you want to pick it up. It's probably a 2K belt. Amulets, we can see we have All Seeing Eye. This gives us 3 skills, Magic Find, or you can go Shining Pearl with the 50% magic skill damage because attributes is intelligence and intelligence is magic skill damage. So a ton of there, and then you also get life and mana. Any of these are totally fine. You also get 3 skills on Satan's Precious. And then for your charms, ton of charm options. You can get magic skill damage on charms. You can get resistances. You can get life and life percentages. You can get sustain with life on kill and mana on kill. All sorts of things you can get in your charms. Don't forget about them. And then I do have a bunch of satanic charms that are listed out here for you to kind of pick up while you are grinding through. That will give you some, additional survivability or damage. Now, once you get into the mid game, I do have an entire section that talks about how to scale your character. So if you're not sure on what certain things do in the game, you can give this a read through, and I talk about all the different attributes on your character sheet and how those work in the game. We also have example setups in here. So if you're interested in seeing kind of what the damage numbers will look like with certain gearing, by all means, give that a look-see. Now for weapons, Molten Hammer is basically a budget Sophos Cleaver, and Sophos Cleaver is OP. So this is kind of what you want to go into after your Divinity, right? There's also that Disaster. If you can make Disaster, this is fantastic as well. So essentially what you're going to be doing is a skill plus skill based Divinity into either Molten Hammer or Disaster, whichever one you can get your hands on. And then you will want to get into a Sophos Cleaver at some point. Your best option there. For offhands, we have Crematorium's Pledge. Nothing really better here. You get up to 60% extra damage to burning monsters. Everything's going to be burning. You get a ton of pen. You get a ton of res. You get life mana. Super insane. Make this on a skill base, right? You can see this one is on a skill base. It has 7 skills on it. For helmets, Side of the Gods will help you teleport around. If you don't care to teleport, you can go like Harley Quinn Veil. You can get Lava King's Lost Mask. Either one of these is great. Dragon Knights is a new item in season 7. This thing's fucking insane. 3 skills, up to 40% burning damage, extra to burning damage. Crazy, right? And then we also have Gabriel's. If you're able to farm Uber Gabriel, or you did farm Uber Gabriel and you drop one of these that has 3 sockets on it, you get up to 50% cooldown recovery. That's a lot. That is actually a lot for this build, so that could be a good option. And then Sheepkeen's Crown. This is really nice, but it only comes from Inferno now, and you're probably not going to be in Inferno, nor will a lot of people. And if somebody does find one of these and puts it on the auction house, it's not going to be cheap. So if you're able to get one, cool. If not, no harm, no foul. Any of these other things will be perfectly fine. For chest pieces, Muspelheim is a cracked option. It has pretty much every stat that you will want on the build, right? Tons of skills, extra damage to burning monsters at 25%. That's crazy. So very, very insane chest. Another really good one is Gem Kings. You'll put 6 pristine rubies in this. This gives you up to 60% life. You also get the fire skill damage, 90%. You get fire skills. Also really nice chest. I still think that Must will beat it out just because of the extra damage, and you also get pen. But this is going to be nice if you end up dropping a Gem Kings first. By all means, run that. Gem King's Hide is going to be an Inferno difficulty only. If again, if you have access to Inferno to farm it, or if somebody on the auction house is selling one, it will be expensive, right? But if you're able to pick one up, by all means, go for it. And then lastly, we do have Enigma. This will also be a way for you to be able to teleport. If you find a skills base, by all means, this can get up to +8 skills, which is really nice to get on a chest. For Glubbers, we have Grasp of the Ponix. This is pretty much best in slot at this point. The only thing better than this is going to be Autos, so get Grasp. For boots, we have Ether Walks. Try to roll those with fire skills. You're going to want to, otherwise you're not going to be really any better than some of the other options from the budget. Otherwise, there is Lava Treaders. You could try and slam Lava Treaders to get some extra juice on them, like using the Satanic Crystals. And our last option is Scorching Roamers. These can be farmed from the new Rogue Chaos Towers in the Codex of Chaos, right? Those towers, they are kind of tanky and they do hurt, but if you can kill them, they have chances of dropping these different element type boots, and these things are cracked, right? Especially for fire, up to 50% extra damage to burning monsters, fire skill damage, all the juice that you'll want. It's insane. Get these. For belts, we have a Soul Burn belt. This gives you a Soul Burn proc. This is going to be a bunch of extra burning damage. This is crazy. You also get up to 15% extra damage to burning monsters. You get pen. You get all sorts of stuff on this belt. This is what you will want for your Firecaster belt. Rings, kind of options here. If you have access to Inferno, you will just obviously farm out your Hellfire Halos. Most likely at this point, you're not going to. Emblem of the Daemon can be farmed from Luna. This will give you up to 30% extra damage to burning monsters. Very, very nice. This emblem, I would try and farm these out, or maybe buy one in the auction house, whatever it may be. If you end up getting lucky and finding Azazel's, that's +3, or you're able to buy one, you could go farm Satan for his soul gem, drop that in here. You can see that's pretty crazy as well. This is pretty close to being best in slot over the Hellfire. It's just a little bit off. And then of course, if you get super lucky and find St. Aaron's, by all means, you can run that, but good luck. Now for amulets, Philosopher's Stone giving us up to 5 skills now. It was buffed to 5 skills. Pendant of Eternity is going to give you some cooldown recovery, right? You also get magic skill damage, tons of faster cast rate for being able to teleport around. Could be a very good option. Lost Agony was reworked. You get intelligence converted into magic skill damage. You get skills, you get intelligence, you get all sorts of juice on the Thoughts Agony. This comes from Amon Ra. So you could farm Amon Ra to try to get one of these. Terethiel's Fall, you can see these red lines here. These change every time this Terethiel's Fall drops, and this comes from Uridamian. So if you're farming out for Gabriel, you could just be farming your Uberdamians, maybe get lucky and find something crazy. You could find like a +3 skills with like +4 fire skills. You would have a +7 amulet, which is crazy. And there's also the new Endrixia amulet. This can be an okay pick as well. You can see you get 5 skills on this. You get intelligence converted into magic skill damage. Not gonna be the craziest for the build, but it can be decent. And lastly, we have charms. Ton of different charms you can get here, right? Lilith's Wrath being very good as it does give you extra damage to burning monsters. Really, any of these will be insane to get. But we also have some extra ones if you scroll down. Gas Canister giving you up to 5 skills. Solar Charm giving you tons of pen if you're having pen issues still. There's also a new item that comes from Endrixia that can be dropped in Hell. This is Dragon's Heart, gives you 50% magic skill damage that has a socket on it, as well as you get a little bit of an execute. So if you're bossing, you want to be able to execute those bosses at 8.75, well, up to 8.75%. Dragon's Heart could be an option for you as well, right? Otherwise, things like tablets, if you find, you know, a 3 or 4 socket tablet, you can throw Chaos runes in it, Elemental runes in it, runes for resistance, Tram runes will also give you resistance and 2% damage reduction. Any of those things will be totally fine. And then finally, once we get to the end game, there's a lot of variables here. There's definitely a lot of different setups you could do here. I'm going to show you what I used and what I tested with. However, there are satanic crystals in the game. You can slam items and get way more damage through some corruptions and, you know, just different setups that people do. So here's what we have right here. I am wearing Disaster. We did get St. Otto's to show you what that would look like with the Inferno boots and the helmet. That would be what our multi-target looks like. Now, that doesn't look too crazy. Considering the amount of gear that I have here, that number doesn't look that crazy, but that's enough to practically kill anything while you're farming, right? The only thing that it's going to struggle with in terms of these is single target, and that's when we just switch to the other truck, right? And that's more than enough to kill your bosses, right? So just give you an idea of what that would look like. For relics, you can see we have Bible, Triforce, Lost One, Magic Mushroom. These are pretty stable. You can switch them out for anything. Triforce does not have 30% resistance on it now. It is 10%. There's not an updated one of these. So I just don't have a way to update it. So just keep that in mind. Maybe you swap Triforce out and go with a cake or mayo sock or, you know, whatever you want to get some extra juice there. By all means, go for it. For potions, you want to get a coffee container. This thing has increased damage to burning targets. You are always burning. Very, very good for your build. Other than that, you get things like Ghostly Potion for magic skill damage. Wizard Potion can give you cast rate. You can get some explosions. So tons of potions in here that you can look through and try and find ones that you would like. For chest augments, Monstrosity is going to be the most damage. I don't even really recommend anything else for the build. You can go with Survivor Shield if you're in hardcore and just want to make sure you don't die. If you want a bit more quality life for teleporting, you can go for Spellslinger. But you really are going to kind of want Monstrosity. You need that damage push that it gives you. Alrighty, let's talk about Mercenaries. Currently in Season 7, Mercenaries generally only have one purpose. They're just Magic Find Warbots. Mercenaries Magic Find is applied to your on-kill Magic Find. So if you were to take a Magic Find item and throw it on your Mercenary and open up your character screen, you'll see under the Magic Find section that number didn't go up. But if you select Mercenary and then look at that Magic Find value, it did go up. That value is applied to kills that you get on your character. Even though it doesn't show in the actual character section, this is just to show you the difference between the Magic Find that you have on your actual character and the Magic Find that you have on your Mercenary. So you want to be stacking as much Magic Find as you can possibly get on this Mercenary. I cannot stress this enough how important this is. People will come into my stream, they'll message me on Discord, they'll ask in Discord chat, just everywhere. Hey bro, I'm having a hard time finding items, what do you suggest? And I'll ask them, yo, what's your Mercenary look like? And they will have either no items, just no Mercenary at all. Now in Hero Siege, there are 3 mercs, Act 1, Act 3, and Act 6. We do not use the Act 6 merc most of the time. It just doesn't offer enough utility. You get some Arcane Break on it, and it can randomly give you a shield, which is cool. But it just doesn't offer the same utility of the Act 1 and the Act 3 mercs do. So Act 1 merc can generally get the most Magic Find as it's a Sword and Board class. So you have just more socket availability to put more Magic Find in, as well as they have good supporting items for Magic Find in those slots. But they're going to have a lower level of fanaticism if you are trying to go for that, if you're aiming to go for fanaticism on your character, if attack speed applies to you. The Act 3 Merc can use bows, so this is going to leave us in a situation where we have a little bit less sockets, and there's not really a whole lot of bows in the game that provide Magic Find. And again, we are going to be most likely using the Fanaticism bow just to get as much attack speed for our character as we can. The other nice thing about the Act 3 Mercenary is you can get a proc from her that'll give you 100% attack speed. This is really, really nice whenever you're maybe fighting a boss. 100% attack speed is no joke. And if you're a caster character, just go the Act 1 Merc. Here's a list of some different weapons for your Mercenary. These are all just going to depend on whether you're taking the Act 1 or the Act 3 Mercenary. Again, Act 3 Mercenary cannot wear maces. It's a bow character, so the Sacred Whip, the Ceremonial Dagger, and the Death Smear, you'll have to use those on the Act 1 Mercenary. But you can use the Valkyrie. That's a really nice bow with fanaticism on it. Otherwise, just honestly throw any bow that you can because the Mercenary doesn't do damage anyway. And then for the Act 1 Merc, we also have Aurora's Might. This can give us Lunar Aura. This is a ton of resistances. Very nice to have early on to tap those resistances. Otherwise, just pick any of these options. Death Smear is probably going to be the most expensive. Throw as many Istrunes in there as you can. This will give you a ton of early Magic Find. Same thing for chests. These are just different levels of Magic Find. So Uppies, Mystic Lure, Heaven's Might, Empires, Military Plate. All these have Magic Find on them. Heaven's Might technically doesn't, but it does have 6 sockets. You could throw 6 discs in here if you wanted to. As well as you can see that you get a ton of physical damage and magical damage reduction on the Heaven's Might. Very, very nice chest. And then I did list out a couple of tankier chests like Leviathan's Carcass and Nazarius's. These offer a ton of damage reduction. You can see Leviathan's 1,000 life and 23% life increase. 6 sockets, you could throw a bunch of Isrune in there. Same thing for Azarius, you get damage reduction, you get the all res. The very tanky chest pieces that you could throw on your Mercenary to try to get him to survive some of those hits in Inferno and even some of the Ubers in Hell 5. Same thing applies to helmets. Here's some different levels of Magic Find helmets. You also get physical and magical damage reduction and up to 30% all res on a Harley Quinn. Very nice helmet for your Mercenary. And lastly, the offhands. Once again, just different levels of Magic Find. Leprechaun's Greed is an SS tier. It's going to be the most expensive, the most rare. However, you can't find a Novice Tower. This thing's insane for just being an S tier. You have a increased Magic Find roll. You have an increased Magic Find based on level. You also have up to 4 sockets to put Is in it. That is a ton of Magic Find for an S tier. Again, socket any of these with a bunch of Is runes. Is are honestly quite common, so it's not going to hurt you to pick up some of these items early and then swap into different ones later on. Because our goal is to get Magic Find on our Mercenary as quick as we can. After hitting level 100, hero levels and hero seeds can offer some significant power boosts, but which nodes do you take first? Knowing which nodes to prioritize can make a big difference. There are several effective strategies for optimizing your hero level tree, depending on your character's current progression and gear. This section includes a detailed written guide outlining popular approaches used by the community. If you prefer a visual walkthrough, I do have a YouTube video available with full timestamps. And just to give you a quick scroll through of kind of what that written guide looks like, we go through all the different setups that are available, whether you're an attacker or a caster, and what that would look like if you tried to prioritize certain things and why you might prioritize certain nodes over others. After level 100, glyphs can be socketed into your hero level tree and offer additional utility to enhance your gameplay. Currently, glyphs do not provide direct player power, making their selection entirely preference-based, depending on the content that you wish to engage with. I do have a full YouTube video that describes how glyphs work, so you can get a bit more information if you're not sure what glyphs look like, how to level them up. If you scroll down on this guide, you will find additional information. This will show you every glyph at their level 0, 6, and 8 value, as well as it'll tell you how much it increases by per allocated attribute in its range, its current attribute type, and a description. Alrighty, let's talk loot filters and more specifically league start filters. Now, I'm gonna be pretty blunt about this because I want to make sure that I get my point across so that it's clear. I cannot make loot filters before Season 7's patch actually hits the game. I can't do it in Season 7 beta. I can't do it in the Season 6 client. There is no way that myself or anybody can get you a filter before the season starts for the most part. Now, I did make a video in Season 6 that talks about the loot filter, highlight filters for any class in the game for starters. There is technically a way to set it up before the season starts because the patch actually hits about an hour before the game goes live. So there's single player, you can jump into single player on the new season and you can quickly make a filter and put those on a notepad, whatever you need to do, and then just import them whenever the season actually starts. So I do have a full video explaining how all of that works and what you will need to do. So if you're not sure how that works, be sure you check out that video. And then of course I do have the full written guide that explains every single archetype and what I put on each of those archetypes so that you can kind of practice. You can jump into season 6, pretend that it's, league start day, make your filter really fast. You can get familiar with where everything is at. And it's honestly quite easy. Now, if you're a newer player, you're just not really sure how the loot filters work. Loot filters in Hero Siege are not Path of Exile filters, right? They're not going to hide 95% of the items on the ground. You're not going to start seeing that until you get later into the game. So you are going to still see quite a bit of items when you first start the game, and it's going to feel like the loot filter is not working, but it is. As well as the highlight filter is the main part of the loot filter. The highlight part is actually highlighting affixes on items that you care about. Right, so whenever you're playing through the game, you'll see this giant beam, and I don't know what color it is. I think it's orange. It'll be like an orange beam and an orange highlighted item. You'll be like, oh, that's highlighted. I should probably pick that up. Yes, it's because your highlight filter is highlighting that item. So the highlight filter is very, very important. The loot side of it, not as big of a deal. If you don't want to do all of that for your starter filter, there are in-game presets that you can use for both the filter and the highlight section. So you're simply just going to click Escape, Options, Gameplay, and Loot Filter. This is going to make your screen look like this right here. On the right side, you can see all the highlight presets and the different archetypes. Like if you're playing a physical attacker, or you're playing a cold caster, or an arcane caster, or a life stacker, or any of that stuff, all of that will be in here. You can just click on it and go, right? Same thing for the loot side of it on the left. If you're in normal difficulty at the very start of the season, you'll be in normal. You just click normal. Once you hit Nightmare, you'll click Nightmare. Once you hit Hell, you'll click Early Hell, right? And you just kind of level with both of these together. And then as you play, you're welcome to click on these and go in and, add some different stuff into them if you would like to. And then of course you have in-game filters. I don't have a way to give you an in-game filter until the season actually starts. So once we get the season going, I've played for a couple of days. At that time, I will be able to provide some in-game filters. And our last section is additional resources. This section really walks you through the best strategies for each phase of your journey. If you're a newer player to Hero Siege, be sure that you read through these first few sections just to gain a better understanding of Hero Siege mechanics and how things work. And also check this section a couple of times before season starts, as I do plan to add some things to it. First up is our beginner guide. If you're newer to Hero Siege, I have a 2.5-hour video that goes through all of the basics from making a character and installing the game to how Ubers work. Be sure you check that video out. There are a few things that you need to know before you get started, like equipping your companion. Everyone gets one of these for free. Be sure you set up your highlight filter. In the video, I do have a full section on the highlight filter. Configure any controls. Here's currently my settings if you would like to copy what mine looks like. I also suggest that you change your minimap hotkey to tab. This will make your minimap overlay permanent, like D2 or Path of Exile, instead of it being something that you have to constantly press. Swap your game to 60 FPS. Even if you have an insane PC, trust me, you're not going to see a difference in your frames, but your performance will be much better. And in order to assign skills, you actually click on the right click skill, and that will open up a menu to assign your skills. Now, there are no required quests in Hero Siege. I do, however, recommend that you complete your Act 1 normal quests. Those are going to give you a mid rune, a ton of the lower runes, a movement speed charm, and a movement speed potion. These are all really nice to have while you're leveling up, especially for being just Act 1 normal. The same thing will happen in Act 1 Nightmare. You'll get up to a Vex rune, as well as a bunch of low runes. And then once you get into Act 1 Hell, you'll get a few mid runes. Same thing for Act 2 Hell, and Act 3 Hell is when you will actually get your first high rune. So those are the quests that I recommend that you complete. In Hero Siege, there's additive damage and skill damage. Additive damage is weapon damage. It is damage that you're gaining when your weapon physically hits an enemy or strikes an enemy. This can be from a ranged weapon, a wand, a sword. It doesn't matter. It's your weapon physically striking a monster is additive damage. It is not multiplicative damage. Skill damage, however, is multiplicative damage. It is giving your skill base damage. So to give you an example of this, there's a skill in Hero Siege called Lightning Fury. It's quite common in a lot of ARPGs. You basically take your big hammer, you strike a mob with it, and a bunch of lightning goes out everywhere and chains to a bunch of monsters. If you had both additive lightning damage and lightning skill damage, the additive lightning damage would be affected when your weapon struck the monster, right? And then the skill damage would be affecting the lightning's damage. So there's two different instances of damage that's happening on that strike. Generally speaking, additive damage is great early game, absolutely terrible in the end game because there's no way to scale it. And skill damage is a little less effective early, but becomes very, very potent as you level through the game and as you get into the end game. If you haven't checked out the Season 7 patch notes, that is available in here. There is an official Hero Siege wiki that's launched recently. This has a ton of information. There's a link to that. Now, once you hit level 100, I do have a section here talking about the early game, giving you progression tips and tricks, because a lot of people are expecting, some mapping system or monolith system, or they're expecting to go somewhere and do repeatable content. And Hero Siege doesn't directly work that way. It has a bit of a different system. So this talks about that system a bit in video form, or I do have the full written guide available here. You can read through all of it to get an idea of what we should be doing in order to progress that early game. Be sure you bookmark the Hero Siege Helper website. This has an absolute ton of information in it that's very accessible. I use it all the time. If I need to know, I don't know, like what key goes to what dungeon, I'll just pop this up really quickly and it helps you find that. Here is a YouTube video that talks about this entire website and everything that it offers. He has updated it, I think, a couple of times since the last time I reviewed it. There might be a couple of things here and there that are extra, but very, very good website. Be sure you bookmark it.
And that wraps up this build guide. I hope it helps you get the most out of your Hero Siege experience this season. Whether you're pushing through the early levels or tackling the end game, this setup should give you a solid foundation to build from. If you found this guide helpful, please consider leaving a like and sharing it with others in the community. Drop any questions, feedback, or build suggestions in the comments below. I always enjoy hearing from you guys and helping where I can. I'll also be streaming live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Graxy_TV. You can come check me out there, ask me any questions, and would love to see you. Don't forget to check the description for the full written guide and any additional resources mentioned in the video. And if you'd like to support the channel, even a small donation goes a long way in helping me continue creating quality Hero Siege content. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications so you don't miss any future guides, updates, or seasonal news. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy sieging.